Hello and welcome to Yosemite with Lauren. I'm Lauren Blackford. I'm a holistic wellness coach as well as a yoga instructor. And this practice is slow and low yoga. So this is if you just want a gentle practice, if you want to hold in some asanas, as well as really great for right before bed if you want to calm down at the end of the day, or you're just not feeling like a whole lot of flow. You just want to keep it low. So let's get started. We're going to start in child's pose. So go ahead and get down on your knees and sink those hips back towards your heels, bringing your forehead to the mat. And just start gently making some motions, maybe moving your hips side to side, letting your elbows gently move toward the mat to open up your back. And just breathe here for a moment. Breathing into your back body. Feeling your arms kind of hug your legs. Honoring being slow and gentle with your body. And slowly crawling your arms out in front of you. Reaching, stretching, extending out in front of you. Just a gentle stretch. Breathing into it. Making sure to sink your hips toward your heels as you stretch. And breathe. Coming up to your fingertips, lifting the palms off the mat, but keeping the fingertips connected and just gently lifting the forehead up. Keep your gaze toward the mat. You don't want to crane your neck back. We're keeping the spine really long. We're going to crawl towards each other. So coming to your left side, bring your arms out, extending out beyond the left side of your mat. Now bring that left hand down towards your left knee and sink that right hip down towards the heel. So we're doing a bit of a side bend into our left side, gazing out beneath your armpit. Breathing into this side bend. If it feels good, you can form a fist with your left hand and just rest your head on it. Again, we're being very gentle with ourselves. Coming out of this side bend, we're just going to crawl our hands over to the right side. Again, extending beyond the mat. Bring that right hand either down next to the knee or into a fist as we gaze out from underneath our armpit. Just resting the head, sinking that left hip so that we get a nice stretch in the left side body. Nothing too extreme. We're just gently working on the body. Breathing into it. And then bringing those fingertips back to the center of the mat. We're going to bring our palms back down and come up to a tabletop to our hands and knees. Make sure we align our knees under our hips and our wrists under our shoulders. Just doing a gentle cat-cow flow. So dropping the belly, lifting hips and chest into our cow. Again, the neck stays very long. We're not craning it back. We're just keeping a long line in the spine. And then rounding the belly and pressing toward the sky into our cat. I like pressing so much here. I want to lift my feet off the mat, just feeling that stretch. And then dropping the belly, lifting hips and chest to get into our cow, feeling the extension. And rounding the belly, lifting that spine toward the sky, maybe rocking it a little bit. Breathing into it. And dropping the belly, lifting hips and chest. Just warming up the spine, getting a little fluid going. And rounding the belly, lifting the spine toward the sky, stretching like that cat. And back to our neutral spine. We're going to thread the needle for a nice twist. We're going to open away from each other and then towards each other. So you're going to lift your right hand off the mat and open up away from me, twisting, gazing up toward that right hand, keeping the hips aligned. And then bringing that right hand and threading it between your left wrist and knee and sliding down along the mat, resting the head. Now do a hip check. Make sure your hips are nice and aligned. They're going to have a tendency to lean toward your left side. You want them to stay nice and aligned. This is what helps with the twist. Breathing here. If it feels good to you, you can do a bind. So lifting your left hand off the mat, wrapping it around your back and finding that right hip crease. This will also help you keep the hips aligned because you can sort of just tug that right hip back into place. Just breathe here into this twist. And releasing, bringing both hands back to the mat into our neutral tabletop. And into the other side, so peeling that left hand off the mat, opening that chest, we're going towards each other this time, gazing up at that lifted hand. And then threading it down in between wrist and knee, sliding that arm down, resting the head, keeping the hips aligned. And again, if it feels good, lift that right hand off the mat, wrap that arm around, find that left hip crease. Breathing here. And coming back, both hands to the mat and to our neutral tabletop. From here, we're going to tuck our toes under and sink our hips toward our heels to stretch the bottoms of the feet. Just breathe here. And then pressing forward, we're going to move our shoulders beyond our fingertips to warm up the wrists. And then again, sinking the hips toward the heels to stretch out the feet. And moving shoulders beyond fingertips to open up those wrists. Beautiful. Coming back to neutral position, keeping the toes tucked. Because I have long limbs, I'm just going to move my hands out a little bit. We're going to press up into downward facing dog. So maybe move your hands out in front of you just a little bit.
pressing through the feet, lifting the hips toward the sky and coming into our first downward dog. From here, you may want to pedal out your feet. Just move those knees and get those hamstrings warmed up. You may want to move your hips from side to side. I like to open up my neck, moving that all around. Just whatever movement is feeling good to you in this moment, in this first down dog. And then coming into a static down dog, pressing through your hands, pressing gently with your heels. Don't extend too much. Breathe. And gently start walking your feet towards your hands. Slow and low. There's no rush right now. When you get to your hands, let's keep those feet about hip width apart. Keep the knees super soft. And just let your spine drape into a forward fold. Maybe bringing hands to opposite elbows. Just allowing the spine to elongate. Letting gravity do the work. We're not stretching. Just letting the spine naturally extend. Keeping our knees very soft, being gentle on our hamstrings. We're not trying to lock out in these knees. Keeping everything nice and gentle. And releasing the elbows. You're gonna bring your right hand in front of your left foot, opening up towards each other. So bring your left arm toward the sky, opening that chest and gazing up. Just a gentle twist, keeping the knees very soft, keeping the hips in line. And coming back down into the other side, bring the left hand in front of right foot, peeling open that right chest, right arm to sky, gazing up. Knees soft. Hips aligned. And bring both hands down, just a gentle release. Let that neck go. And hinging at the hips, we're going to reach and rise all the way up, arms overhead. And exhale, bring hands down and around to heart center. I know I said slow and low, and this is as high as we're going to go. We're going to do one quick sun salutation and then keep going down low. So inhale, arms reach. Exhale, fold all the way down, keeping those knees super soft. Inhaling to our halfway lift, hands on shins, L shape in the body. And exhale, releasing hands down to mat, bending those knees and stepping one foot and then the other back into our plank. Bending at the elbows, lowering all the way down to the mat. Keep the hands where they are, release the toes. Pressing your chest away from the mat, lifting into cobra. However high you want to go, here or here. And releasing all the way back down. Tucking into our toes, We're going to lift through plank into downward facing dog. Shifting those hips back. And again, in our down dog, we go toward whatever movement is calling to us. Releasing the neck, pedaling up the feet. Breathing into the static down dog. You're going to lift your right foot up and back behind you into a down dog split, however high you need to go. There is no ego in yoga. Whatever feels good. Bending that knee and bringing that heel to the hip if you can to open it up. Breathe. Taking that bent knee, bringing it underneath you. Stepping that right foot between hands. Lowering the back knee, releasing the foot into low lunge. Now this is your yoga practice. You can stay here with your fingertips on the mat. You can come and support yourself with your hands above your knee. Or if you want to go into a full expression of low lunge, lifting arms up, maybe arching the back. But finding whatever version of low lunge feels good to you. We're stretching the psoas, the front of the hip. So while your right foot is in front, we're really stretching that back hip, that left front hip. Breathing. And wherever you are, bring your hands back down to the mat. Tucking that back foot, we're going to step back into our downward facing dog. And just dropping the knees, we're going to sink into child's pose for just a minute, honoring that stretch in the hip. Coming back, pressing up into downward facing dog. And we'll lift that left foot up and back. Again, only as high as it feels good to you. There is no ego. And then bending that knee, bring the heel to head. Opening up. Bring that knee underneath you and pressing that left foot between hands, lowering the right knee, releasing the foot. And again, this is your low lunge, so stay on fingertips. Bring your hands to above your knee. Full expression. If you want to go way back, that's up to you. Feeling an opening in the front of that hip. Breathing, making sure your knee is directly over your ankle. And releasing fingertips back down to the mat. We're going to step back into our downward facing dog again. Drop into our child's pose, so knees wide, hips toward heels. And coming back up, pressing back into our downward facing dog. Take a deep breath. And walk your feet towards your hands. We're going to come to the outside of our hands. So the blades of the feet right at the edge of the mat. So wide forward fold. And hang here for a minute. Bringing our heels into about a 45-degree angle. We're just going to sink our hips down toward the floor, coming into our Yogi Squat. Hands to heart. Elbows gently pressing, knees outward. This is too much for you. You can use a block underneath your hips. Or sit in easy seat. Process. Just taking a moment, opening up the hips, staying low, moving slow. Checking to make sure that you're keeping your spine nice and long. And releasing hands down to the mat. We're going to move our heels back to alignment with our toes and just do one more forward fold. Putting a little bit of weight into our hands, we're going to step one foot and then the other back into plank. Lowering all the way down, releasing toes. Pressing through hands, lifting chest off the mat into our cobra. Releasing all the way back down. Tucking toes. Pressing up and back into our downward facing dog through plank. So plank, down dog. Bringing our right toes up and back into that down dog split. Again, there's no ego here. Bending the knee, bringing the heel to hip, open it up. And then bringing that knee underneath you. You're going to bring your right knee to just behind your right wrist. And then untuck those left toes and sink that leg down all the way. Now, a lot of people will tell you, this is our pigeon pose, will tell you that your right shin should be parallel to the top of the mat. But my leg doesn't do that, and yours may not either. So open up that leg to the point of your comfort. You don't want to mess up your knee, you don't want to mess up your hip. The important thing here in pigeon is to make sure your weight is evenly distributed across both hips, okay? You shouldn't be sinking into your right hip or leaning into the left. And from here, you can stay upright if that's comfortable for you. You can bring your forearms down and stack your fists to rest your forehead on. Or you can extend your arms out in front to go into full expression. Wherever is comfortable enough for you to hold for a few moments. And slowly coming back out. And up to hands. Tucking that back foot underneath. And stepping gently back into downward facing dog. You may want to shake out that right knee a little bit. Totally normal. And coming back to down dog. Taking a breath here. And lifting that left foot up and back into a down dog split. Bringing that heel toward the hip to open that up. And then bringing that knee underneath you to just behind the left wrist. Again, if you can extend your shin out, go ahead, but it's not necessary. Just let that right leg extend out behind you. Make sure your weight is evenly distributed across both hips. And then come into your pigeon. So whether that's upright, stacked fists, stacked hands, or extended. Breathing into the stretch. Breathing into your hip. Coming up out of your pigeon, this time we are going to go onto our left hip. So sink onto that left hip and then just swing those legs out in front of you. Realigning yourself. You're just going to hug the knees in and roll down onto our back. And just keep them hugged in. And move from side to side. Releasing the low back. And you're going to extend your left leg out in front of you, keeping the right knee hugged in. So bring your left hand to the outside of your right knee and gently press that right knee toward the floor, coming into a twist. You can hook your foot on the back of your thigh so that it stays together. Extending your right arm out and gazing out over it. Keeping the left foot flexed. Breathe into this twist. And coming back to center, hugging that right knee in one more time and release it. Bring that left knee in for a hug. Bring that right arm to the outside of it, gently guiding it over for the twist, hooking that toe onto the thigh, and extending that left arm and breathing out. Flexing that right foot. And coming back to center. Bring both knees in for a big hug. Rocking from side to side, releasing after those twists. And keeping the knees hugged in.
Lifting the feet toward the sky, flexing middle locks. Gently running onto the outsides of those feet, pulling your knees toward the floor on either side of the body. Into our happy baby. Thanking ourselves for coming to the mat today. Feeling movement, keeping it slow and low. One more hug into the chest. Maybe bring the forehead to the knees. And then extending one leg and then the other out in front of you. I'm gonna wiggle the hips to release the legs and let them fall. Scoop the shoulders from away your ears. Wriggle them to let the arms release. Move the head from side to side and let it go, releasing the neck. Feel free to stay in Shavasana for as long as you like. Stay for at least a couple minutes. Thank you for joining me on the mat. Hope you enjoyed this practice. Namaste.